Welcome to Breathe In, Scream Out, a podcast for feeling it all, one breath and scream at a time. I'm Katie Healy, your guide through this sacred mess called life. Here we'll feel everything. We'll cry, we'll laugh, we'll scream, and maybe scream again. Let's get into it. Welcome back to Breathe In, Scream Out. I'm your host, Katie Healy, and today I am bringing you a very special guest episode with spiritual mentor and intuitive business coach, Aude Firmin. Aude is a practitioner that I've had the pleasure of working with, both virtually and when I'm over in the UK. She's an incredible Reiki practitioner, psychic guide, and now has really honed all of her skills and her business and taken it into the spiritual mentor and intuitive business coach realm. She still infuses all of the Reiki and psychic practices into her business as well. And I'm really excited to share this episode with you to expand more on what Reiki and psychic healing actually is, to debunk some of the ideas we have around guru mentality and what it means to actually be in alignment on this path, in this work that we do, the things that we do that are the same and different, and what it means to truly be in service in your business. Aude is such a wealth of knowledge, and she shares her gifts so freely and openly, whether it's on social media, in her sessions. She's really been an expander for me in building business, trusting intuition and the guidance and generosity she leads with. So I am so excited to share this episode with you. But before we get into anything, we'll start the way we always do, with a scream, a sigh, a yell. So find your feet or seat beneath you. If you're able to sit or be seated in a semi-private or private area, just close your eyes. If you're walking or listening to this while you're driving, please don't close your eyes. But just find a way to ground yourself wherever you are. We'll take 3 breaths together. I'll guide us through, but feel free to take all the time you need. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Exhale out through your mouth. Another deep breath in. Deep breath out. On this final round of breath, we'll make some sound out into the space that we're in. If you have some privacy, into your hands, or just a gentle sigh and an exhale. We need 12 sighs a day, so let's get one in here. Take a big breath in through your nose. Sound or sigh all your energy out. Really feeling that energy moving out on sound or down through your feet, out into the earth to be recycled, no longer yours to hold on to. And if your eyes are closed on your next breath, just slowly starting to flutter them open. Coming back into your space and launching into my conversation with Aude. I hope you enjoy. Aude, welcome to Breathe In, Scream Out. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
So the first question we start with every guest, what are you screaming about?
I am screaming about energy and intuition and telling everyone is psychic.
I love that. I've been lucky enough to work with Aude. I found her over Christmas time. I was in London, and normally I only work with practitioners that I know or have been recommended to me, and I saw her picture and I thought I have to work with her. So I've been lucky enough to work with you both for Reiki and for psychic healing readings. But I'd love to hear a little bit more about what you do, what you offer, and how you infuse both, whether it's just the Reiki, the psychic sessions, the intuitive business coaching that you do, just a little bit more about what you do and what you offer.
Yeah, you portrayed it very well, that I offer like a range of services that cover like the energy healing with like Reiki. Reiki is a Japanese healing technique. psychic with psychic reading in order to give people clarity and direction, both in their personal and business life. Psychic coaching in order for them to develop their intuition. And then there is the element of spiritual life coaching where they can unlock patterns, go to the next level. And the final bit that is quite unique is called intuitive business coaching, as you say. So it is the ability for the client to channel their own business strategy, like psychically, and create this marketing and social media, website, etc. strategy and their language that is literally emanating from their soul or their energy, but it's incredible. And even when people feel stuck and are not sure about their business ideas, like it's the ability to access this deeper knowledge. And every time I witness it, I find it magical.
That's incredible. And I think we're hearing more and more about Reiki, and, I've done some episodes. I'm a Reiki healer as well. We're hearing more about, psychics have been around forever, whatever people believe in. I'm sure there's some people listening to this that think they don't believe that we all have intuitive gifts, which I completely disagree with. I think we all do. But the psychic business coaching and intuitive business coaching is a thing I haven't seen a lot of, I think, really in a lot of these spaces. I don't know how you feel about wellness, but sometimes I'm always weary of people who want the healers or practitioners who put themselves on a pedestal in terms of like only their gifts are for them, instead of empowering people to really believe that, sure, we're Reiki practitioners, Reiki masters, intuitive guides, but anything we're offering them, they have the same ability, if not more, to offer themselves.
Absolutely. And that's why also I connected with you. Katie, is like this humility, this grounding. And as you say it very well, in the spiritual community, sometimes there is this kind of guru mania. And that's why, and we're going to talk about it later, I come from a background of corporate and technology, and I made the official transition 2 years ago. But for me, I resisted my past very much because, one, I had like all this skepticism myself about psychic, and also how like the cliche of the psychic medium and the crystal ball, and like, oh my God, I can't do that. But kept, and I will dive into details later if we have time, but like it is the universe or whatever life, whatever you want to call it, pushed me on this path. But what I love is in your approach, my approach, and like other practitioners, is like this bridge between modern and spiritual, and be like, this is our gift. There is nothing who are incredible about it, but it is incredible at the same time. And we don't need to make any ego about it. And at the same time, owning these gifts is life-changing.
I completely agree. And I think that's why we connect in so many ways. I truly believe, especially women or folks who identify as women, are Claire, I should say, we all have these intuitive gifts, and it just is something that's not ingrained in us and our society. We grew up in two very different places, two different countries, two different backgrounds, but we still came from this place of not being aware of our power or our gifts, or just simply put, our intuition, our inner knowing. Some people resonate with that as gut instinct. Some people feel it in their heart. Some people feel it in their third eye. Wherever you feel it, I don't care. It's not mine. It's yours. As long as you identify that feeling and start to follow it. I'd love to hear. I think it's so fascinating when people come from these really corporate backgrounds and make this transition. I'd love to hear a little bit more just about your life, your experience in the corporate world, and what led you to this transition from corporate baddie to wellness guru, wellness business owner.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the question that people ask me is like, when did it start to develop this psychic gift? And again, I really believe everyone has it, especially at childhood, and then we kind of shut it down. But I wanted to be an artist before doing anything about the corporate world. But like many of our parents, like, you need to make money. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll do business in order to travel the world and, whatever. So I embarked in this corporate path in technology, like in the big ones, Microsoft, Publicis, etc. But I felt, it's a bit like an exotic fish in the Thames water. And I'm like, oh my God, like people, like being in in an open space, like I could feel my energy being like so sensitive. And I felt like, am I broken? I kept burning out. I was really successful, but then burning out, successful, burning out. And I'm like, I can't survive. Like, and literally I was making a lot of money, but the money I was making was to heal myself. And that's how I embarked on this exploration of desperately trying to find methods to heal myself or to survive, at least at that time. That's how I discovered Reiki. And that's one of the most powerful things that helped me with insomnia, depression, anxiety, etc. But also, like, the psychic path was in 2009. My dad passed away. And at that time, I was like, I didn't know how to deal with grief. So I repressed it. And 3 years later, after like something quite tragic that happened in my first role in London, I had a massive like breakdown. And this is where I attempted suicide in 2012 or something like that. So it was really like rock bottom. Obviously, I survived. And after that, and I can see that in my clients, sometimes it's like a tragic event that really break open their psychic abilities. Then in 2014, when I came back to London, I started to have like really big paranormal activities in my bedroom in Elephant and Castle. We're talking about the scary movie type with like the computer playing music by itself, psychic attacks, the door opening by itself, the bed levitating. I mean, I was like, okay, I'm really crazy. Completely blended. And, I went to see my Tibetan meditation master at that time. And they were like, yeah, it's your psychic abilities. You're great at meditation. I'm like, oh my God, but okay, like, how do I survive between this corporate environment and these psychic abilities? So for many years, I resisted this path. And finally, because I had these spirits activities everywhere, like, okay, I'm going to train because I don't want to be afraid anymore. And by the way, when I train people in psychic coaching, they don't have like this crazy paranormal activities. It's much beautiful and it's very healing, light and love. And yeah, I train at the College of Psychic Studies where I'm a teacher now. And then I embarked on this path. And 2 years ago, I made the transition where after a big trip in Jerusalem and Israel, Palestine, just a lot of synchronicities and visions. And like the door was closed for tech, literally. Even if I was resisting this path, the universe was like, no, you won't get a tech contract anymore. And actually, you don't want it. And then I started to build literally from scratch my company. And now I've had like 900 clients all over the world. And it's beautiful. Sorry, long answer.
No, that's the answer I wanted. So we could all really hear just more about who you are and where you come from. And I think it's so important. Thank you for sharing so openly and vulnerably. I think it's important for people to hear that are watching us on social media or in our everyday lives or taking our classes or sessions with us. Someone in my class a few weeks ago had said to a friend, like, I think I just want to be Katie Healy. And I was like, yes. You don't. I think social media is amazing, the way it has connected even you and I, but it presents this highlight reel. So to hear all of the trials, tribulations, really the darker moments that you went through, your own resistance to this work. I had my own as well. And, the meditation teacher, Joe Dispenza, in his teachings, he talks about, unfortunately, it is human nature for us to hit rock bottom, to want to transform. Some people have this very special way of being that at their highest high, they want to transform, but it's really when we're at our lowest low. Losing your dad, losing my dad is when I really had my first Reiki session scheduled for the weekend. My grandfather and my dad went into the hospital the same day, and I had my first Reiki session the following week. And, all the things you shared about your own struggles with burnout and anxiety and depression. And I think it's really important for people to hear that are either skeptics or struggling themselves. There's still a lot of things we have to deal with. That healing is not just A to B or A to Z. It's A to D to A to X to A. It continuously comes back up, but I'm sure you're experiencing in your business, even though it's flourishing in many ways, the hardships of being an entrepreneur too.
Absolutely. And you were saying something, now I forgot it, but it's like appreciating pain, appreciating the processes. And, as an entrepreneur, as yourself, I myself is like knowing that there is not a straight line, but it's enjoying the process and this surrendering aspect. And yes, you were talking about skepticism. I really encourage my clients and students to be skeptic, and it is through the experience and it is through like this inner exploration that you know what is right for you or not. Because there are also a lot of psychic mediums who are charlatans and, not just psychic mediums, spiritual teacher, coaches, whatever. And so that's why it's important to be connected to our inner guidance and compass and be like, does this person feel legit to me? Do I trust them? Do I feel safe? So I will always encourage people to do that. And at the same time, having this open mindedness and be like, see what you get through it. If you are here today on this call, it's for a reason. If you're listening to this podcast, it's for a reason. And that's how like life becomes a beautiful adventure.
I completely agree. There are a lot of charlatans in any business, in every business, and people are in it for the wrong reasons. They center themselves instead of the practices or the work or whatever we're doing. I always say it's not about me. I just make the playlist or I just channel the energy or, I just read your birth chart. It's what you make of it. And nobody knows what you need better than you, even me. When I'm getting messages or information, they have no meaning to me. They just are coming through me. So you're the one who makes the meaning. You're the one who knows best and resonates. And I think what you said about pain is so very true. I've been sharing in my classes or groups a lot. We're so adverse to discomfort and pain and uncomfortability. And actually, the episode that comes out before this one will be about Scorpio season. And I talked a lot about this. We're just so adverse to any kind of discomfort. A lot of times, discomfort isn't a sign that something's wrong. It's a sign we're trying something new. And we grab, instead of feeling uncomfortable, we grab the phone, we grab the drink, we grab the food, we turn on the news, all the things that are going to either make us disassociate or spiral even more. And I think, a sign of a well-lived life is not a pain-free life. We get stuck on only wanting to feel one feeling, and that's just not the human experience. And the more we can embrace that when we're experiencing great love, we'll still experience great pain or loss. When we're experiencing great joy, we'll still experience great anger and frustration. And sometimes I think people also assume that I definitely did when I was starting Joe Dispenza meditation work, that I was going to like desensitize myself from feeling and that I wasn't going to feel anymore. And that I think sometimes with meditation, people assume that too, like you'll just get to a point where you're just above everything, when actually that's not the case. But it does help you. It's helped me be in relationship to my anger or frustration or my triggers, right? When they come up, instead of always giving into them, I can now sometimes, not all the time, make the choice to see the other side of it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so beautiful. And there is so many insights that you mentioned. And yes, and as you were saying, like grief, we were talking about it, is as much as powerful as love. Just before this episode started, we were talking about my weekend completely in nature, like literally making fires, shelter, and there is so much pain. It's like so bloody hard to make fire from scratch. But then I was like, well, okay. But then there is this pride of like going through the process. And when I came back to my flat in London, I'm like, oh my God, like the shower is warm by itself. And there is this kind of, like this kind of, how can I put it? You get used to things and you appreciate them less, So there is this comfort, but there is this boredom of it as well. So it's interesting, like these different approaches.
You started with Reiki as a tool for self-healing, which I think most people do. That's how I started. That's how my teacher started, just wanting more, wanting to understand, needing some sort of support. And then eventually that led you more to discovering your psychic gifts and leaning into that. I'd love to hear about some of the similarities, differences, how you feel like they work together or how they work for you.
Sure. So what I've noticed within myself, but also my students, is the moment people are attuned to Reiki. So just for people who don't know, the attunement means like your energy is going to be not altered, but open in order to channel the Reiki energy from the crown chakra to the hands. And so in Reiki, you have 3 levels, Reiki 1, 2, and Master Teacher. And at each level, you have an attunement, so an energetic opening or upgrade, if we can say. And what I've noticed is that people's psychic abilities by themselves expand tremendously after being attuned to Reiki. And so that's why for me, when we think about it, psychic, intuition, art, singing, energy is all the same. It's all a channeling. It's a channeling of energy, same as sound. So by itself, people who do Reiki are often very, very intuitive. So that's why it's interesting to see like some different modalities of Reiki, like psychic Reiki, angel Reiki, and I'm like, it's all the same, and it's okay. Why not? I respect this. At the end of the day, as if they can practice Reiki and have the benefits, amazing. But yes, and on the Reiki journey, what I noticed for my journey specifically, it's at the beginning it was like kind of nice, relaxing, but now it's been nearly 7 years I practice Reiki or I receive Reiki. And now I have the full blown of like shamanic visions and talking to Jesus and all these things. While, I was brought up as a Catholic. I had my massive rejection time, became
Same.
Buddhist for 5, 6 years. And then I'm like, no, I don't want like visions of Jesus. No, not this one, standing Buddha. And then I'm like, okay, girl, it's like highest beings. And now I'm more than happy to receive Jesus messages while doing Reiki. So it is Reiki, I would say it increases your frequency, which will help you to pick up on psychic messages, angel, aliens, highest beings. And everyone has the capabilities to do that.
And for anyone listening who is wondering, like, what do you mean frequency?
Yeah.
Every chakra or every energy center in the body has a frequency that's measurable by hertz, which is studied by NASA. So if you want to challenge us, we're ready. The way I always try to allow people or invite people to understand Reiki, it's really just the energy we give out and we receive. It's the things we absorb that we're aware of and we're not aware of, and the energy we give out that we're aware of and not aware of. And that starts to cling, it starts to clog, it starts to block. And the same way it can block us from our energy and intuition, when we work with it and we clear it, it can open us up to those parts of ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I had so many, I work with a lot of men as well. About 40% of my clients are men, very skeptic, coming from corporate. I love them. I love them. Because they're like, I don't know why I'm doing here. Like at a Reiki session, a psychic session, they're like, it's okay. Just you go through it. And then when they experience Reiki or when they go through their psychic readings, they're like, no, it's not possible. It's like kind of like you open the door from the matrix. And yeah, it's blow minding. And then they go through their transition or their transformation. So I would say, don't even try to understand Reiki, because it's like trying to understand Reiki is sometimes trying to understand the universe. There will always be a part that it's so hard to describe it. It's that's the beauty of it. It's like experience it. And the beauty about Reiki, it is super safe. It's like the safest healing technique because it's life force energy that we are made of. And so, you don't take on like bad energy. You can be a Buddhist, you can do whatever. You can be on antidepressant and have Reiki. So, and also NHS in the UK use Reiki for cancer recovery. So that's why it's not science or holistic. Let's all put all together like a beautiful harmony. We need everything.
Yeah, it's just energy, I like to say. I always say it's like a warm blanket. Like if you allow yourself to just receive it, you don't need to listen to what I'm saying about the messages or the shock. You just receive it without the very human need to analyze it, pick it apart, make math of it. Like, can you just receive the energy? Can you just allow yourself to receive? And what do you think, at least for your experience of the energy of being a Reiki master and a psychic healer, intuitive guide, what do you feel like, where do they differ?
I don't really think they differ per se. It's just a different expression. So, and how people receive it. And that's why people will be in the same state in their life, but will receive or experience Reiki differently. So some people will just feel like really sleepy, fall asleep during a session. Some people will have great visions. So it's kind of like I like to say we are all channels, and there is the energy coming through us, and then we process it in a different way. So that's why like psychic, when you were talking about psychic, so like clairvoyance, so visions, inner knowing, hearing, while maybe energy is more like the relaxation. But as I was mentioning, some people experiencing Reiki are also having this whole shamanic vision journey. And by the way, what I haven't mentioned yet, Reiki is also super good for business, because again, we are like, how are we tying this up into like the modern world? We are so used to like work, 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 but we don't understand like the link between procrastination and, for example, the solar plexus chakra. Every time I receive Reiki, the next day on my solar plexus, the next day I'm like, and so what? And it doesn't mean that we have to be in a full-blown mode all the time, but knowing how to work with our energy is also very much linked with manifestation, without like the who's aspect of it, like literally, and the business success. So that's what I found like super amazing, and I feel like we need to shout out more about it, like literally the business aspect of Reiki and psychic.
I completely agree. And I love the way you bring both of your worlds or experiences together. And I think even all of this work is deeply tied and rooted to intuition. And even beyond intuition, I think it's trusting yourself, trusting the messages or the guidance that you're getting, trusting the choices you're making in your business that are right. I remember when I came to see you back in April, you had just moved into that new apartment and you were sharing, you were like, it's a lot more money. And but I trusted, I knew in my intuition that this was the place for me to be. And my business has doubled and I've hired another person. And so many people, not at the fault of themselves, society instills this fear in us in taking risks, in trusting our guidance. And many of us are deconditioned to trust ourselves. So we do make the choices that aren't aligned with us. But what you have showed me so much of what's possible, and a reminder to always trust myself first and to take my time to really listen to what's actually coming from me and what's being influenced outside of me. And I find it's especially hard to do that in business. And especially if you have a wellness business like we do, people already think like, what do you do? How do you make money? What are you even doing?
Yeah.
But I would love to hear how you marry or combine this space of intuition and trust with these more corporate folks, especially the men. That's fascinating to me. My audience is very woman heavy, which I love. Hopefully I can up level one day to getting the men on my side too. But I would love to hear how you really bring that space together, because I know as a practitioner myself, sometimes I feel like I struggle with being, either all business or all well, like how do you bring these people together? Like what the sessions are like, or how you open them up to this sort of work?
Yeah, absolutely. Like coming from tech and corporate, I would have assumed that a lot of my clients would have come from my former projects, which was not necessarily the case. And I remember at the beginning, I was more like psychic and Reiki. And along the journey, people were like, oh, do you do coaching? Well, I can do spiritual life coaching. Wow. And how can you help me create my business? And so that's how, again, like you follow the prompt. And so it's like, okay, I need to go there. Oh my God, I don't even know if I can teach that, but yes. And then out of like the imposter syndrome, I'm like, okay, I'm still going to do this kind of spiritual life coaching program. I like didn't learn anything from it. So it's again saying like, we have all the answers inside. And sorry, my mind is like, yes. So to your answer, like things came through me, but at the same time, I think it's a journey of, I never really understood why I spent like 12 years in corporate. Again, like I was like this exotic fish. And I remember in 2018, when I was working at New Look, I was writing a book that I haven't published about how companies are like, and not New Look specifically, but a lot of corporate companies are not using human being in the best way, while there is so much potential, both in profits, because I love hearing about profit, and also sustainability. And so like people came by themselves to me, but to your question, I attracted since the beginning two sets of clients. The first one are like the corporate people who are kind of lost in their journey and their purpose and feel like, oh, I think I have some intuition. I think, or even I want to exit of course, if I do corporate workshops, they stay in the company, but if it's individuals, they want to transition to more like maybe holistic or something their passion or art or whatever. It can be anything. And I have this holistic type people who have like the yoga business or coaching business, but then have like the imposter syndrome, like the confidence issue, and like, oh, now money is bad, money spirituality is bad, etc. And my approach has always been like, okay, it's not because I am a spiritual life teacher, and trust me, even like hearing this, I'm like, a bit cringe, but it's like my role is to be as much authentic as possible. And by definition of my essence, from whoever I attract, so it's not even me going to them, it's them going to me. My role is just to put myself out there, and the right people are going to resonate with my frequency. They will come to me naturally. So yes, when I started this holistic business, my family, absolutely not spiritual, in Paris, were like, oh my God, what are you doing? Don't brand yourself psychic medium. You're going to be attacked. Don't put your name on it. I couldn't even find a brand name. So I was like, I'm just going to use my name. But my family were like, oh my God, begging me to stop every day for 6 months. And I'm like, guys, can you just stop now? But when I started to be successful, they were like, yeah, we always knew that. But anyway.
Of course.
But it was like, it's like, again, to protect myself, to protect me. And so it is like just to say, you go to your dentist, it's a transaction. So you go to your healer, it's a transaction. And there is nothing bad about it. And so that's why, for me, like, it's important, as you say, like, as spiritual practitioners, we need even more like to watch our ego every day. Because yes, it's very easy. Like our clients can put us on a pedestal and be like, "Oh, Katie, oh wow, like God is back," and be like, "No." Like when one of my clients were like, "You are my guru," which means my teacher, and I was like, "Well, you are my guru." I was like, "No, you're my guru. You're my guru." But it's like,
Yeah,
we are all
absolutely.
the guru of each other, and same being like, "I'm not here to take your power away," and I'm quite shocked, honestly, to see how many people are ready to give their power away and be like, no, I'm here to show you that you have the power and it's okay. As you said about the flat, when I moved to this flat, which is like 25 like hundreds per month, I was earning like 200 per month, so less, But I had this vision, this like psychic vision of like, how is it called? Like the little bonsai. If I put a bigger pot, the tree is going to grow bigger. I just had this vision. I was like, this is financial. It doesn't make sense financially. It might be like the end of my business. But at the end of the day, worst case scenario, I move out. It's not that big a deal, and there is nothing like failure to my experience. And now I actually increased like the income by 5 times,
Wow.
in like 8-10 months.
Yeah.
So it's like, again, it's not saying, oh, I'm great at business. It's like when you are guided and when you trust the prompt and you take care of your energy, it takes you in a way where you're like, how did it even happen?
I do. Yeah. It's such a simple idea to just trust yourself, listen to your intuition. But again, so many of us were not, especially in a certain age group, right? We're not encouraged to listen to ourselves. And it's so interesting what you said about you're always surprised by how quickly people are willing to give their power away to someone else, to something else. I have a lot of ideas that I won't get us on a tangent about of why I think that is, but I think all the reasons why maybe that exists, whether it's religion or society structure that, encouraged us to give over to a higher power. And I believe maybe in the beginning it wasn't a healthy way, right? To give us something to believe in. But also I think people are so willing to give their power away is because what's required to take like full responsibility for your life. you made that choice, you had that vision, and it worked out to be in this space that you're in. But if it didn't, you would have had to be like, okay. And people want to catastrophize the response of what that would cause, but you have gotten to the place in your life where you could be like, worst case scenarios, I have to move out. But I think our instinct, when we're not either creating awareness or working at like with a healer, practitioner, whoever, is to catastrophize always like the worst case scenario. That's my thing sometimes. I always am waiting for the other shoe to drop, and it takes a lot to, you have to, when I'm in that cycle or that spiral, I have to be like, okay, would that actually happen? Would I really, not to be pessimistic, but I have survived worse. I have made it through worse. I always make it through. I always find a way. And I think it does require a lot of like self-responsibility and ownership of ourselves and the choices we make. And I think sometimes people start to go on this healing journey and they're not aware of that step or that part of this.
Absolutely. And also what I have witnessed, and I've witnessed it in my process and in my client's process, often the way of liberation, if I can say, is in this kind of ego death and like this kind of identification and caring what people think. And trust me, Katie, like I come across as confident today, but I had like my self-worth and my self-confidence down the toilets for most of my life. And through really like creating this business, it has helped me to face all my fears. What may people think of me? How am I going to make business? How am I, whatever. And it's so freeing. And this is what is for me the best spiritual process is your friends might be like, oh, I'm sure you're going to be successful. But at the end of the day, you are here by yourself, you know? And I wish, especially in this transition of like all this life crisis, but beautiful rebirth and this transition from tech to holistic, I wish there was someone, I don't want to say like me, but someone who, again, is a bridge between the modern and the spiritual world and be like, okay, you don't need to be just a hippie or you don't need to be just modern. You know, you can have all this part of yourself and understand that life is a puzzle. And even if it doesn't make sense right now, there is always a bigger picture. So it really helps you to navigate uncertainty. And that's, I think uncertainty, as you said, is one of the things that human beings really don't like at all. But when you use intuition, you're like, I'm just asking for messages. And then it's like, again, life is a game. It comes through you.
I do think being an entrepreneur is like the ultimate shadow work experience.
Oh my God. Yes.
It's going to make you face all of your stuff, like I shared earlier. And I think, you didn't want to say that you wish there was someone like you, but I think when you take your ego out of this work, when you can, if you're one of those folks, it allows you to then create what you needed. And I find so many people when they follow that part of themselves, like the grief work that I do with my co-teacher Bree, who I had on a few episodes ago, she and I connected because we were in the same community, but we both felt we could never really find a grief circle that wasn't rooted in just pathology in terms of like the stages of grief, and that they exist, but they don't necessarily happen in the order that they've been written and sold about. And we created all the grief work because of what we needed. And I think that's also something you created for yourself. You wished you had someone that could bridge the space between the modern and the wellness, the ancient practices and this modern practice, and how it's available for everyone. And I completely agree with you. Human beings, we always want to think in these absolutist terms, like it's either this way or no way. It's either right or wrong. It's good or bad. And when you're working in this energetic space, it's not about that. If anything, it's light and dark. I like to say the darker tones or shades are parts of ourselves and the lighter energy. But it's so interesting to me the way people, when they're fully aligned, like you are with your energy, you end up creating the thing you wish you had and that you needed.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, you're so inspiring. I could listen to you for ages. You know, when you look at the media and the news, and I don't look at them, but by the way, but it looks like the world is crashing down and like lots of things are happening in the negative way. But I can see it is, yes, we are at a destruction time, but a destruction from a psychic perspective and energetic perspective, a transition, and a transition, there is always like this destruction and creation process, like the seasons. And what I see is like so many people, and not just in my little bubble of clients, but so many people are awakening in their beautiful gift. And again, they don't have to brand themselves spiritual, but nature is spiritual, and they are creating all these kind of like the missing links of this society that is so much more harmonious, that it is through recycling or healing or whatever. And so that's why I'm really excited, and that people are coming from corporate or from holistic. There is this wish of, through this darker time, of creating a better world. And this is the drive. And that's why also I'm a bit of a tangent, but still, when we saw grief and COVID, etc., actually help people to wake up to like their higher purpose.
Absolutely. And I think, what you shared about the world crashing down, it certainly feels like that most days. Even last night, I had a student in my class, and she mentioned how years ago she was feeling like she was at a rally or event, and she was feeling like there was no hope, and what was the point, and why even try? And she met an older woman there who was an activist, and she was like, hope is the point. Like, you have to, giving up is easy. Giving in is easy, but still working to create a better world, even if it's just in your everyday life. If it can't, if it just reaches the immediate community around you, like that is what keeps us going. And I find it so interesting that all of these ancient practices are coming back around, and they've been around. Reiki has been around forever. Psychic intuitive healing has been around forever. Breathwork has been around forever. These ancient practices are resurfacing when people need it the most, when we need to come back to ourselves, because we've gotten so outside of trusting the inner intuition and the inner knowing, and we've relied so heavily on capitalism and external, all of everything outside of ourselves for validation. So these practices always resurface, or people always want to create art, or people want to create new businesses or new music or anything during these times where we go, even though things feel new, they're really things we've been doing since the beginning of time. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And there was apparently, and again, I can't quote that too much because I haven't done a lot of research on it, but apparently in shamanism, like indigenous people had predicted that like this kind of renewal where their voice wouldn't be enough, and like the modern people will take over, and not necessarily doing exactly the traditional way, but like having this hybrid method. And so, we're talking about destruction, like, and maybe like AI and all these things. For me, it's like technology, money. It's not good or bad. It's really about like the intention you put behind it. So when I have a client, it's like, oh my God, no, I can't put this session, this prices. What is the power of transformation? What is the impact you want to make? What is, and that's what I love, is like seeing people again with like amazing environmental projects who come to me and be like, how can I use AI and environment and intuition? I'm like, wow, this is amazing. So I witness all this business project and creation, or like these big investors who connect with holistic. And that's why I find it exciting. And again, as you said, we tend to be black and white. And I used to be so much black and white thinking. And now it's like, what is the intention? What is the drive? How do we position ourselves behind it? And are we here to empower and to connect people and collaborate? Or are we like in this small scarcity competition mode? And yeah, the energy makes like the whole difference, especially when you grow your business.
And I'd love to hear a little bit more about your offerings in general. Obviously, there's Reiki, there's your psychic readings, there's your intuitive business coaching, but just a little overview of what those sessions look like. And especially the intuitive business coaching, I think is so rare and new. And it's like you shared earlier, it's not just for people building a Reiki practice or a wellness practice. It can be for anyone.
Yeah, because I work with like from like the person in Uganda who's like transforming their life to like the billionaires who is investing and using like psychic insight for this. But the commonality of all my clients, because I don't work with everyone, is like this beautiful heart alignment and wanting to do something good. Because I think when you have access to intuition, you can use it in different ways. But basically, I offer like this 30-minute free consultation where people can talk about themselves and ask questions. And what I love is, like there are like these packages of session with the spiritual package, which is Reiki, psychic coaching, psychic reading, spiritual life coaching, and the business package, which is all of this, but with a business aspect. And for me, my goal is not to, I was about to say, my goal is not to make money. Yeah, it's not the intention behind it. It's to make an impact in people's life as much as possible, as fast as possible. And so that's why even in one session, and you've experienced it, we can do like Reiki and psychic and spiritual life coaching. And that's the beauty of it, is it doesn't have to be a plan. It's channel and guided, and it's wherever it takes us. And intuitive business coaching, again, it came through me. I don't know, again, it was given or channeled. I can't say I'm the inventor of it, but this is the ability of people like channeling their whole business strategy, where you can spend like months and thousands of pounds with marketing agencies, and they have the very precise language that resonates with their energy in like their offerings, their packages, their branding, their colors. And then if they want to do their website and social media, then it's possible as well through my services. So it's very exciting because it's like a journey to connect to your energy, to heal yourself, to release patterns, and then to find your purpose and to create your business, or to be even more empowered in your business. And it's endless. And as you say, like it's like this mountain chain. And for me, like witnessing this birth and transformation, it's the most beautiful present I can find in my life. And that's why also a lot of my clients become friends like you. And I'm so grateful for this.
Yeah, we're so grateful for you. And what are some of the businesses or decisions your clients, if you wouldn't mind sharing, have gone on to create or make that has either transformed their current business or helped them start a completely different and new journey?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have one of my clients who was a digital game, like video game designers, who went through all his journey of very skeptical and learning Reiki, becoming a Reiki Master, psychic medium. Now he left for India and Bali and Thailand. A bit cliche, but it's beautiful. And now he has created this company which offers like holistic yoga and also like this kind of design, digital design. I'm working with a company that is empowering like holistic practitioners through like digital platform and hubs all over the world, and being their intuitive business advisors in how to manage their team, how to select their partners, how to make like business decision, and again through like psychic insight. And same on the other end of the spectrum, I work with pop stars and movie actresses and billionaires who have like this very niche decision of investment where I have no idea what they're talking about. But I got the messages, are happy, and we're talking about billions and things like that. So it goes in every way. And what is amazing is like I discover their words, and there is this deep trust and this vulnerable, knowing all their vulnerabilities and the shadows and light, which makes human beings so beautiful.
I completely agree. And I've been lucky enough to have a few sessions with you. So I can't recommend you enough, just as a person in life, but also a practitioner. And before we close out this conversation, is there anything that you want to share, you want people to know, either about your business or just about these practices in general, either to encourage, inspire them, or help them feel more grounded?
Yeah, well, it's just follow your intuition, because the most important is that you resonate with your teacher, your guide. Like that's how they found you, and that's your intuition will tell you, oh, I feel drawn to this. Like where you mentioned, oh, I saw her pictures, and that's how like the little nudges. So follow the intuitive road wherever it takes you to whatever person, that it is me or someone else, and enjoy the journey, the process, because that's what matters at the end.
Amazing. I'm so grateful that you made the time to come on and chat with me. I'm so excited to share this with all my listeners and everyone. All of Aude's information will be in the show notes. So if you want to, if you're not already following her, because I've told so many of my friends to follow you, you can follow her on Instagram. The link to her website is also there to book a session with her. She's London, UK based, but her times are always open and available. I see her both here and when I'm over on that side of the pond. So thank you, Aude. I'm so
Thank
grateful
you
for
so
your
much.
time and energy.
Thank you so much for your time and continue shining. And I love you're so good at podcasts.
Thank you. I just like to talk to people.
Keep going.
Thank you. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Breathe In, Scream Out with my dear friend, one of my favorite practitioners, Aude. As I mentioned during the episode, all of Aude's information is in the show notes. I cannot recommend her enough, whether it's for Reiki, her psychic healing sessions, or intuitive business coaching. Again, it's not just for wellness folks. It's for anyone who's needing some guidance either at their current job or in their own business. I am so grateful for you tuning in, and I cannot wait to breathe in and scream out with you again on the next episode, which will be a solo episode all about Sagittarius season, my season. So hopefully I have lots of good things to share. Thanks so much.